show you something simple. Two options. At first glance, which one would you choose? Well, most people go for the red one, but that's exactly where the mistake begins. What if I told you that the cheaper option may be the more expensive one? What if I told you that the cheaper option may be the more expensive one? Not because of the price, but because of what's missing. Every day, we're surrounded by offers that promise more. Saver, best value, limited time. They sound like opportunities. They sound like smart choices. But what if they're not? What if those words are just not helping us decide, but secretly deciding for us? I never gave this a thought until I booked a flight. I saw a saver ticket. It cost less, and it seemed like a great deal. So I clicked on it without much thought. I didn't stop to check the details and assumed it would include everything I needed, such as baggage at least. In fact, the only thing included was the seat. And by the time I added what I really needed, that cheap ticket turned out to be more expensive than the original one. I thought I was saving money, but actually, I paid twice. That moment made me consider something simple but strong. Companies hook us by offering a piece of the puzzle, a cheap deal, a discount, or a saver option. But to actually end up and have the full package and get what we truly need, we pay more than if you had just bought the full and normal thing from the beginning. And it's not just about flights. It happens when we sign up for a free trial, which then turns into a paid subscription. It happens when an app is advertised as free, but locks important features behind a paywall. 3 months later, you're still paying for something you forgot existed. It happens with products that are tagged best value, but only become truly valuable after making additional purchases. These patterns are found everywhere. But the most interesting part here is that it doesn't only happen because of advertisements. Sometimes, we create the illusion ourselves. Imagine walking into a store and seeing a product marked as 90% off. Before even asking why is it discounted, our brain creates a story. This must be a rare opportunity. This must have been expensive before. I might lose just this chance. But notice something. The product did not change. The price did not suddenly become more valuable. Only the way we see the choice did. We filled in the missing information with assumptions. And that's what makes these decisions powerful. The most convincing offers are not always the ones that give us the most information. Sometimes, they're the ones that make us imagine the best possible stories. We think we are making smart decisions, but many times we're just simply reacting quickly to how something is presented. But don't worry, this doesn't happen by accident. In psychology, this is called a cognitive bias. A cognitive bias is simply when our brain uses shortcuts while making decisions. It isn't a flaw. In fact, it's how we function. Imagine analyzing every purchase, every message, every decision with perfect logic. It would take us forever. So, our brain uses the shortcuts. But the problem here? These shortcuts can be expected. And when they can be expected, they can be influenced. And just like that, that's why marketers, advertisers, and companies spend so much time studying the human behavior. They're not only selling us products, they're selling us perceptions. As Rory Sutherland, a leading expert in advertisement, puts it, the way you present a choice can be more important than the choice itself. And that's exactly what's happening. Change the presentation, the decision changes. This idea is not only applied to small purchases. Even some of the biggest companies use the power of presentation. Take Amazon Prime as an example. When you shop online, you might see a product with a lower price, but then you notice another option, Prime. It offers faster delivery, smoother experience, and extra benefits. The offer is not just presented as pay more, it's presented as unlock more. And that small changing in wording matters, because our brains does not only compare numbers, it compares what we might gain. So suddenly, the question will change from, Do I need to spend more money? 2. Do I need to miss out on these benefits? And just like that. Our brain takes the shortcuts. And this is the power of framing. So, when we see save 30%, we focus on saving, not spending. When we see limited time, we feel urgency, not logic. And just like that, our brain takes the shortcuts. Now, these shortcuts can help us decide faster, but they also make us easier to mislead. As a result, we rarely slow down to assess. We assume, we click, we move on. But this does not only apply to shopping or deals. Sometimes, this also reflects to deeper decisions about how we make decisions in general. How often do we choose quickly instead of carefully? How often do we go for what feels right instead of what actually meets our needs? And how often do we let labels, urgency, and presentation guide us more than our own thinking? We like to believe that we are in control of our own choices. But in reality, many of our decisions are shaped before we even realize it. We are influenced by what's highlighted, what's repeated, and what is meant to be urgent, not necessarily by what's truly better. We live in a world that rewards speed. Same-day delivery, instant purchases, one-click subscription. Everything is designed to help us move faster. But the more we move quickly, the less we question. The less we question, the easier it becomes to accept something incomplete. And not only this, but also convince ourselves that it's enough. Because when we don't clearly define what we truly need, something else defines it for us. A label defines it for us. A discount defines it for us. A limited offer defines it for us. And without realizing, we stop choosing and start following. So, next time you see a great deal, don't just ask yourself how much you're saving. Ask yourself, what am I missing? Because sometimes the most expensive decision is the one that looks the cheapest. Thank you.